everyone, and welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen, and this is episode 106. It's Monday evening, April 28th, 2014, and I have a co-host with me today. So, Bella is here to say hello. But first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody for bearing with me these past 3 weeks, I believe, while I wasn't podcasting, or vidcasting, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I've been dying yarn like a mad woman. If you follow me on the whole social media network thingamajig, you know that I've been prepping for a pop-up shop, which happened on the Lower East Side of Manhattan at Lost Wax Studios. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who stopped by and said hello and bought yarn and everything. But yeah, I've just been busy. I've been a busy bee as usual, but even more so because of this whole event. But yeah, it was just a really fun time. The main premise of the pop-up was pretty much for anybody walking by to just stop in and learn how to upcycle old clothes by embellishing it with embroidery. That was the main focus of it, but there were also a few other vendors, including myself, that were selling stuff like crafts and handmade goods and even bought like lotion, soaps, and everything. Just a real, overall, it was a small little space, but overall, it was just a really fun time. I even stopped, did a little embroidery myself. I took a break from my knitting. I brought some a sock project with me, and I got to meet some really great, really creative people. Yeah, so it was a really great time, and I posted some photos on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, overall, I did not sell as much yarn as I would have liked, but I really wasn't expecting it because, again, like it was more embroidery, it was more diverse. It wasn't geared towards yarn or knitting specifically. So it was like a whole mix of, people coming in and going. But, I did get some people that came over and checked out my yarn and they, liked it very much and took a card and everything like that. So I thought it was pretty successful for my first pop-up shop. So yay! So yeah, that is pretty much a recap of where what went on this past weekend. So before I get into any more details as far as what I'm knitting and everything, I just want to talk about the knit along. The Any Man's Jumper knit along that I'm co-hosting with Ellie of Ellie's Knit Insanity podcast. Let me see. I actually reached out to her. I asked if it would be possible to kind of push the deadline back. One, because A, I've been busy. I haven't had time to put a dent in it. And two, we noticed in the official thread that not many people had been posting progress or anything like that or had joined up. There seemed to be a lot of interest, but not a lot of posts in the thing. So I just kind of wanted to... I kind of put it out there, I wanted to see if she thought it would be a good idea just to kind of extend the deadline, if you will. So she was up for it. So we'll figure out an exact date, but we're looking at June. So we have another month, which is good. Oh, big relief because I have not put a dent in it. I've been bad. So yeah, that's that. And then many of you have been reaching out to me about a sock knitting tutorial, and I was gonna do it on the show, but I recorded last week and I tried doing it and it just did not make sense for me to demonstrate it on the show per se, unless I did like a time lapse where it's like I record the first part of me knitting the sock, cut, and then pick up again where it would take a long time and a lot of it would take forever. So my my plan is to actually just create an easy to follow pattern, which I have been working on, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm working on some illustrations that I'm going to include, and that's how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make it as easy peasy as I possibly can. So that is coming down the pike. I know I've been promising it to you guys for a long time, and it's coming. I promise. It is. If it's not out in 2 weeks, it will be out in 2 weeks, okay? That's my deadline to myself. It will be out, available to download for free for you guys in 2 weeks. So hold me to it, because now I have time. Yay. Okay, so on to what's off my needles. Off my needles. It's nothing exciting except that it's a pair of socks. Again, on my Wicked colorway on my McGinnis sock base. So Again, it's an afterthought heel. I've been on an afterthought heel kick. Usually my method of knitting socks is doing the reinforced heel and then the short row heel turn. But ever since I knit with self-striping yarn, I've kind of been on this afterthought heel kick, and I really enjoy it. So, but still, like, the reinforced heel is my favorite, but right now I think it's fun. It's a nice change. So, if you're used to knitting the same type of sock, I highly recommend switching it up a little bit. You never know, you might like it. So, but I really, really love the way this turned out. And these are my samples at the pop-up shop. I kind of, hung them behind the booth. It was a small booth, so I kind of overdid it with the dyeing, but, I showed up with more than enough yarn. So, but, better safe to be prepared than not at all. So, anyway. But yeah, these were great samples. These served as great samples. So, and I brought my sock blockers, so good times. Yay. So that's off the needles. I'm trying to have something more exciting. That's my goal for the summer, just to knit something other than socks. Not that there's anything wrong with knitting socks. I just want to have more. I miss knitting lace, which I'm going to get to something in a minute, but I just feel like I've been under challenging myself in the knitting technique department. So I think I'm going to start knitting more challenging, lacy projects. So stay tuned for that. But yes, this is all that I have off my needles at the moment. But getting onto what's currently on my needles, if you are familiar with me, Kim of Craft Stash and Maria of the Subway Knits podcast are hosting mainly Kim, it's, the thread is on her Ravelry group, I believe, but we are partaking in a I Knit NYC Cal, where the idea is that you can knit any pattern you want, but it has to be, or you can spin or knit any pattern that you want, but it has to be fiber that has been dyed by a New York fiber artist or hand dyed by a New York fiber artist. So of course I just used my own hand dye. So yeah, this is my Lush base, which is merino nylon cashmere, and the colorway is Myth. And I really love the way this knit up. It's so soft and squishy, as my favorite yarn to knit with is. And if you can see, and this is the Ophidian shawl pattern by Rosemary Hill. And if you can see, I have beads. They're just kind of like gunmetal gray beads. And the one thing that happened with this is that these beads I purchased a while ago, and normally when I knit with beads, it's on lace weight. But when I try to knit with fingering weight, the holes in the beads aren't wide enough to support. If you know my tutorial or my method of knitting with beads, I use a needle threader to pull the yarn through the bead. But it works great for lace, but not so much for fingering because the hole is so small that it just doesn't work. You need bigger beads basically, and I have very small beads. These are glass beads, size. I'm not a size 11, but I don't know if you can see these. But these are great for lace, not so much for fingering. So I was impatient, so I'm like, I'm gonna figure out a way to get these beads onto said shawl because I didn't want to have to. I wanted to cast on right away, so that's what I did. So if you remember, over the summer I went to Cape Cod and I purchased a very small a crochet hook for the purpose of knitting with beads. This is a size, let me see, 14, 0.75 millimeter. And the head is so incredibly small. Look how tiny that is. It's ridiculous. And I already bent the tip trying to pull. It works, but some beads require a bit more finessing, but it does work. It's a little tedious, I'll be honest, but I think I will for future knits, I will invest in bigger beads for fingering weight yarn, because that I really enjoy knitting with fingering weight over any other weight of yarn, I guess, from experience. But what was I going to say? But yeah, I have to say, this pattern is super potato chippy. It looks a little complicated, but every row is just so enjoyable to knit. It's you can memorize it easily. I'm tired. I apologize. But it's going by so quick. As you can see, like I started this maybe two and a half weeks ago, and I'm a little concerned. Not too concerned, but I'm already more than halfway done with the pattern. I believe I have maybe one more pattern repeat to do, but this is how much yarn I have, and I believe there are 400 yards in my Lush base. I think I'll be fine. But yeah, again, Ophidian shawl, highly recommend. And look at that color. I love the color. Yeah. So, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah. What else is on my needles? Yes, again, I feel like I really have to cast on something with other yarn because I have a lot of it that I really want to knit with, but I've kind of been on like, I don't know, like I'm trying to knit up samples for my own yarn. So I've kind of been on just a little, Voolenvine yarns bender at the moment, if you will. But I actually I was very curious to see, because like when I dye up yarn, I'm not 100% sure how it's going to knit up. I can kind of gauge or anticipate how it's going to knit up depending on the way I dye it. But like for new colorways, I'll be honest, like I can only anticipate. So this one colorway, Reflector, that as soon as I dyed it, I fell in love with it. I was just like, yes, I want to knit with this. And I've just never gotten around to it. And it's very popular, apparently. I get a lot of requests for it in my shop. So I wanted to dye up one for myself because I've been so in love with it. And here's how far I got on it. I actually started this on Saturday morning. And I got maybe down to, I finished knitting past the gussets, the gusset decreases at the pop-up shop. So I just, was basically hanging out, chatting with people, knitting, and I got really far in it. And I love the way this turned out. Of course, it had to be on the sparkle base, blitzed. So, but yeah, it's pretty much just, a turquoise, light blue, pink, and purple with like these dark gray dashes in it. And Reflector, if you're not familiar with the name, it's Reflektor. After it inspired. I feel congested because I just sneezed before. Allergies are really hitting me, so I may sound a bit nasally. I apologize. But Reflector is inspired by the album cover on the Arcade Fire album. So it's got all the colors in there. And as soon as I saw that album cover, I'm like, I must dye a colorway about it. So yay! And that's where I am. So I'm pretty much just home free, and then I get the toe decrease, and then I get to cast on another sock. And I use my favorite method of sock knitting: reinforced heel turn. So, and like I know many, you had requested that I do a tutorial on sock knitting on the podcast, and it's so simple to do, but like kind of explaining the technicalities of doing the heel turn. Like this is, if you can see really close up, I should just hold off until I actually create the pattern. But anyway, it's literally short rows. It's super easy. Like once you knit your first or second sock, it's pretty much just, you don't need a pattern to do these at all. Like just knit one or two socks and you get the swing of it. And you might like it, you might not like it, but when it comes to socks, socks are my go-to project when I just have no idea what to knit. I don't want to think about it. I just want to knit something, and super potato chippy, if you will. So yeah, that's what I'm knitting at the moment. Dennis's cardigan is on hiatus, but I'm going to pick it up this week. I promise. That is not going anywhere. Except that I have my Ravelina cardigan. I haven't picked that up. Cardigans, it really, I don't know. I have to apply myself. I mean, remember my Pomme de Pin cardigan? I let that go for like pretty much 6 months before I picked it up again. But it's just about, I have to sit down, hunker down with it, and just bite the bullet and plow through it. I'm all about instant gratification. I don't know. I need the small projects or the lacy projects that are engaging. And again, I miss lace, which is why I'm really enjoying the Ophidian shawl right now. So, but yeah, so that is it for what's on my needles. We are on to spinning. Yes. Wow. I have been spinning on Tallulah. Just again, not enough to want to warrant bringing her over here and hauling her in front of the camera. I'll wait maybe another week or so before I do that. But I have been hoarding spindles. Yes, as you can see, I have a new home for all my drop spindles, and you may notice some new additions. Why don't I just go through them? Okay, this one I just kind of purchased on a whim. This is from, let me get this right, Irish Rose Woodcraft, and OTT on Etsy. And I saw she has all these beautiful spindles that are pretty much all these, you know, like stones, or I don't know, it's just, yeah, it's really pretty. I'm blinking. I think this is like dragon quartz. It's super pretty, like pink. I don't know, pink, not my color, but this called to me. And it's handcrafted, hand carved and everything. And it's a top whorl. My favorite, by far, my favorite way to spin yarn on a drop spindle. The only thing gripe I have about this, and I've tried spinning on it, it's heavy. It's a lot heavier than the other spindles that I own. I haven't weighed it, but it's challenging getting the swing of it. I mean, this is like I am getting kind of like fingering weight. My favorite, what do you call it? I really enjoy spinning very fine fiber. I don't know, because again, I love knitting with fingering, sometimes lace, and just getting the feel of this was a little challenging. So I'm still struggling with it. I think it depends on the fiber that I'm actually spinning with. And this is alpaca that I purchased from Vogue Knitting Live this past year. It was in January. So yeah, no, it was this year. But yeah, it's like pure alpaca, so the staple length is pretty long. And spinning with a heavy spindle, I am learning, makes it a little bit more difficult to spin fine singles. So yeah, but it's not impossible. I've been doing it. But yeah, so again, this is Irish Rose Woodcraft, and you know, I actually recommend it. She has like a lot of beautiful stones that she uses as the weight around the cup, and it has these and it's a very, very affordable price point. It's I believe $12.95 US, which is in my opinion very affordable if you're just looking for a drop spindle. And she has these rubber reinforcements to keep it up to the shaft, if you will, or the cup. But I guess the good thing about this is that you can adjust the height. So if you like the weight lower or higher, you can adjust easily, which is a plus, I think. And they're beautiful. So that's that. And then this I have to blame Kim from Craft Stash, because if you follow her podcast or her vidcast, she did a 2-episode tour of all her drop spindles. And I saw this one and I was like, I want to try it. This is a Fang style drop spindle. It's by Ghost Works on Etsy. It's like Ghost without the O. So it's GHSTWORKS. And it has turquoise embedded into the wood, and it's hand carved. And then there's like this brass tip in there to help it spin. I've never spun on a Fang drop spindle before, but I saw this and I'm just like, I want to learn. And I looked up a couple of tutorials on YouTube, so I think I could get the swing of it. I just need this is essentially a supported spindle. So it needs a spindle bowl to spin in, and the reason why I purchased this is because Kim said that she can spin while she's watching TV. It doesn't put pressure on her arms, or she doesn't have to stand and spin. So, yeah, again, not only is it beautiful, it just called out to me and seems to support my needs because it's a support spindle, right? Yay! So, but yeah, I do need a spindle bowl. I may have something that I can use. I'm pretty sure I do. But I may be on the prowl for something more efficient. I don't know. But I really like, I'm spinning with this. I want to spin with it right now. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I've been hoarding in the spinning department lately. But yeah, my theory is that the more spindles I hoard, the less apt I am to invest in a new spinning wheel. Because while I do really enjoy spinning on the wheel, let's face it, I can't have. I at this moment, I'm not on the verge of purchasing a new wheel. I think I was talking to Laura and Maria, Laura Jinx, how cool it would be just to have, or it makes perfect sense to have a spinning wheel in every room of your home. Doesn't that make wonderful sense? Because whatever room you're in and you feel like spinning, it's right there. You don't have to haul a giant spinning wheel with you throughout the house. Think about that. That's pretty brilliant. But anyway, yeah, that's my theory. Spindle hoarding basically prevents the need to have more wheels in your home, hogging up space, where space is very precious here in Brooklyn, New York, where apartments are kind of tiny. So, yes. Anyway, I'm digressing. And, okay, other news. If you remember from Vogue Knitting Live, I purchased some fiber from the Long Island Livestock Company. And I believe they were like $5 a bump for 1 ounce bumps of this lovely alpaca fiber. And while I've been trying to spin it, I just couldn't get out of my head that I was like, how awesome would this look blended together? Like, why don't I just get some carders and blend them together and create poonies? I don't know. So onto the Etsy I went and purchased some hand carders, like you do when you get ideas stuck in your head. So here are my hand carders. Yeah, another rabbit hole. Yeah, Kristen, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I need. Well, it's a rabbit hole and I'm embracing it. That's all there is to it. But yeah, these are Ashfords, 72 pins per inch. So per square inch, you've got like 72 little combs or whatever you want to call them, pins. So yeah, I just, looked up a couple of YouTube tutorials and taught myself how to blend fiber and make poonies. And so far, so good. I'm really liking it. And I've got the poonies to show it. So, I sat myself down and I blended up these little puppies out of these babies right here. So, I am very pleased with myself. I don't know. I made poonies. And I'm psyched about them, and I'm going to have so much fun spinning these because the colors just turned out so pretty. Yeah. So I'm going to have a lot of fun. I am not planning to make poonies and selling them. I don't know. I just bought these for myself so I could blend my fiber, maybe, have a little fun, make my own fiber. I don't know. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it, like I do most fiber rabbit holes. But so yeah, that's pretty much it. And I can certainly post a link to the poonie tutorial that or the do-it-yourself poonie tutorial that I watched on YouTube. So, if you are interested, you can learn how to make poonies as well. So, but I think it's great because, if you spin a lot and then you have all these remnants or leftover fiber bits, you can totally get creative and make your own poonies out of them. I mean, I highly recommend it. It's very relaxing. It's very zen. So yeah, there's that. And I think that's it for spinning. Is that it for spinning? Yes. Okay. It's a long episode. Again, it's been 3 weeks since I podcasted. I have a lot to talk about. And for stash enhancements, I have some more Jinx yarn that I purchased because I actually had this duo in my cart for a long time, and then someone nabbed one of the colorways, and I was like, no. And then, long story short, Laura dyed up another one, like she does, and I saw it in stock, and I was like, okay, it's now or never. I'm just gonna do it, and I purchased it. So, this is her single merino base, which I've never knit on. So let me see. It's 400 yards, 100 grams, and it's sock fingering, 100% superwash merino. And this is her lavender tea colorway, which is totally screams my name. Muted purples, browns, whites, grays, and some of my hair stuck on it. Yeah. And gunmetal gray, which has some Stellina stuck on it. Probably mine. Anyway. So, I don't know what I'm going to knit with this. I was thinking a featherweight cardigan, but I have so many other cardigans on the needles right now. I'm not sure I want to do that. And plus, I don't know if 800 yards is enough to knit a stripy. It might be featherweight cardigan, but if I knit the featherweight cardigan, I probably want a longer torso and longer sleeves. So I might save that for another yarn. So, but I'm thinking it kind of wants to be another Daybreak shawl by Stephen West. So it might be that, but stay tuned. But yeah, I'm really loving these colorways. She does such gorgeous, gorgeous colors, and the yarn, it's heavenly. So, but yeah, other than that, okay. I had purchased some knitting needles from Knit Picks. I know I have a couple gripes with Knit Picks on certain things, but sometimes they create things that I just get totally smitten over and I can't resist. And one of them is their Caspian interchangeable needles. I saw Ellie had purchased some, and I saw them and I was like, it must be mine. It must be mine. I must have. Yeah. So on to the Knit Picks I went, and I purchased them. And I purchased an interchangeable cable as well. I don't know, just for knitting socks and garments, I guess. But I got US size 4s, and then, you know what US size 4 looks like. And for my Ophidian shawl, I am using, I believe it's, they put it really faintly on the metal bit right there. But this is a US 5, and then I got a US 8 for Dennis's Ranger cardigan that I'm knitting him. Because I think the main thing that kind of set me off about that pattern, not set me off, the pattern's fine, it's just the needles that I'm using. I'm using DPNs, and they're like these plastic acrylic ones that I probably got from Michael's eons ago, and it was just really discouraging knitting with them, and I was like, I don't want to do this, is so uncomfortable. I was getting calluses, and I think I do have a callus from knitting the sock yesterday, but that's another story. But yeah, so I really love the way, I love knitting with them on the shawl because, I don't know, bamboo and wood needles, they're so sticky that I really just like knitting with them. Personal preference. And they let you on planes with them, so hey, I'm not complaining. But yeah, so that is pretty much it for stash enhancements, and now I'm probably going to go on to shop updates. And if you're not interested in that, I totally get it. It's fine. I will see you next time. Happy knitting. But if you want to see what's new in the shop this week, stick around. And because I've got lots to show you, I'm probably just going to show you my favorites because I've got a lot, and I want to keep this episode I don't want to go overboard with this episode. So I'm just going to show you a new base that I got and a few new colorways. So, this one is actually going to blow out the screen, but I'll hold off on that one. Let me see. Okay, so my chair is squeaking. Okay, so this is a new colorway that I dyed up. It's called Prismatic Antler, and it's just got a lot of prismatic shades, like purples, blues, pinks, magentas. and then just like a little hint of brown. So I don't know, I just felt like calling it prismatic antler for some reason. And the way that I dye this up is just so random, because like the second skein or the third skein that I dyed up, they all turn out like slightly differently. So, but I like that. So I kind of, it turns out one way, I name it prismatic antler. This is prismatic antler number 2. And then I have another one. I don't have it. And I apologize. It's in the other bin. But anyway, it turns out a little bit variegated, no one of this colorway is exactly alike, which I'm psyched about. I don't know. I love the way that when it turns out like that. And then I have Dip Your Toes on my Blitz base. I've dyed this up before, but on, not the Blitz base. I think it was like McGinnis or something, but neighbors. So, it's just kind of like a tan, red, white, and blue. It's very patriotic almost, but I was actually inspired to dye this from a Pinterest pin that I have of just like these feet in red toenails dipped into a pool, and I love the colors and everything, so I tried recreating that. And I think I did a good job, but for some reason it came out a little bit more patriotic. I don't know, very like America. So who knows? If you're into that, or however you perceive it, more power to you. So I thought it was a fun color. And then I have a new colorway that I'm smitten with. It's called Kelp Me. Instead of Help Me, it's Kelp. Get it? Yeah. I'm genius like that. And this is on a new sock base. I don't know if you can see that. This is my silky base. It's on, let me see. I believe it's 70% superwash merino and 30% silk, and it's a single ply, so it's very silky, very soft, and lots of seaweedy kelpy greens. So I really love the way that turned out. What else? Oh yeah, here's the other prismatic antler. So it's both dyed the same way, but I think the saturation's just, I probably used more of one color than the other, but I just love the way these two turned out, and they both scream the same name. So one is prismatic antler number 2, prismatic antler number 1, in no particular order. So yay. And then more Dirty on Purpose on Lush merino nylon cashmere, which is, I think I'm going to be knitting this up next for myself. I don't know, I love the way this turned out, like just browns, blacks, grays, and speckles. So there's that. Oh, and then Night Owl. This one turned out awesome. I love the way this turned out. It's just like sage greens, or minty, like a minty green with black speckles, and then I have like just purples, blues, and navy blues, and magentas. I'm just really giddy about the way this one turned out. So, so that's pretty much it. And the rest, I think, well, this one is going to blow out the camera, but I don't want you to be afraid of it. It's bright. It's very bright. It's very vivid, but yeah. I would highly recommend checking this out on the Etsy page, because the photo is much more tolerable than this is right now, but it's like bright orange, clearly, pinks, magentas, and red. And it's called Bikini Kill, aptly named after the punk band. So yeah, you get the idea. So that's that. And then the rest is all pretty much usual color updates. So that's that. And then I participated in a dye-along for the Dyer's Notebook. If you remember, I participated in Laura's self-portrait DAL, DAL, where you create a mood board. You can do anything you want, create a collage, create a Pinterest board, or what have you. Anything, throw images in there that represents you as a person, like that speaks to you, colors, images, what have you, and just create or dye up a skein or fiber that speaks to your personality. So I'm going to try and put an image right here so you can see my collage. I basically just, I created a Pinterest board, but then I just went into Photoshop and just created a little digital collage for myself. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Here it is. Of course, it had to be on my Blitz space because my motto in life is glitter makes everything better. It really does. Yeah. If you're having a bad day, glitter. Glitter. So, glitter it is. And yeah, it has a lot, a lot of the usual suspects. Muted purples, hello. A little bit of pink, teals, black. Just really heavily variegated. It's kind of like the reflector colorway, but just a lot more saturated. So I'm really happy with the way this turned out. Yeah. So, yay. That's pretty much it. So that is the episode, I think. It's been a long episode. Thank you again for bearing with me. And I have a sleepy kitty on my lap right now, but I'm going to let her say hello. Say goodbye, Bella. Okay. Yeah, she doesn't like that. But anyway. All right, guys. That said, have a wonderful week. Happy knitting, and I will see you next time. Bye. La 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 la.